Okay, welcome back to another episode of Life After High School. I don't know what day we're on right now, but what I do know is I got some questions for you, right? And the first question I want you to ask yourself today is, what are your top 3 weaknesses? But before I get into that, right? Before we start talking about your weaknesses, before we start talking about your strengths and breaking this thing down, I want you to think like this. If I know what I'm good at, right? I know what I'm good at. Like, I'm good at this. I am phenomenal at this one thing. Whatever that one thing is, I am very good at it. I want you to think, what is the benefit of putting other people around me that are just as good as I am in this one thing, right? This one thing that I already have mastered. I perfected this thing, right? And I'm still growing, so I don't want to say mastered, but I'm in the process of mastery. I'm very good. If everyone that I surround myself with is very good at this one thing, what value does that add to me, right? What value does that add to me? Let me be honest with you, not much. But if I know that this one thing that I'm mastering, right? This one thing that I am very, very, very good at, and I understand it, I want you to think about this. What if in the process of understanding what I'm very good at, it helps me to identify what I'm not so good at? But sometimes when we identify what we're not so good at, all we want to do is avoid that thing like the plague, right? We want to stay away from that thing. But what happens if I say, yo, I'm very good here, and it's exposing all the weaknesses? I'm not going to try to hide what it's exposing. I'm going to now understand that the people I need to put around me need to be good in perfecting mastery in what I'm weak in. Because if I'm already strong here, I identify these weaknesses that I have, and I don't hide them. I give someone who has a strength in my weakness the ability to only live in their strength. So now my strength is sitting on top of other people's strengths. Their strengths are sitting on top of other people's strengths. But if I'm hiding the weaknesses and I only want to be around people that are just like me, how can I master what it is that I want to do? It's hard. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's hard. Why? Because the more I'm mastering something, right? The more I'm working on mastering something, my weaknesses are growing and being avoided. So I can get up here and be very good, but because I'm these things that I'm avoiding, it's going to put me into a sinkhole. So I know my talent. I know that my voice, I know that what I say, I know that my experiences are powerful. I know what I overcame and how I overcame it, and I know how to teach it, and I know that it's valuable. But I also know that I'm not a people person. I'm not going to run out and just start engaging in people for nothing, right? If you engage me, then I'll engage back. But for me to initiate that, it's unlikely. Does it happen sometimes? Absolutely. Should it happen more often? Yes. But what happens when I have that talent? I understand my gift. I understand what I'm working on, mastery, right? I understand the thing that I'm working on so I can develop mastery in it. And then I have these weaknesses. What happens if I take my mastery and I give it to someone who's mastering making connections? So now the person that's mastering making connections, but their voice, right, the skill set that I have, they don't have, but they can benefit from. What happens if I give that to them? If I make it available to them? And then their ability to connect and be my voice, where my voice is hidden in the shadows, they can bring it to light. Yo, that's powerful. Because as I work on my mastery, they're working on their mastery. My mastery is moving them up. Their mastery is moving me up. And my weakness is not growing and being unattended to. My weakness is being cultivated, right? My weakness is being carried. And then what happens is my mastery gets in front of more people. More people start to connect me to other people. Oh, you know what? They can use you over here. Oh, they can use that over there. Oh, they can use it up there. Oh, they can use it down there. And they stopped bringing me in rooms and opening doors I never knew existed. This is why I want to talk to you today about your strengths and your weaknesses. So, listen, I want you to ask yourself, what are my top 3 weaknesses? What are they? I just told you the benefits of understanding them, right? And I told you the consequences of leaving them unattended. So if you know the benefits of identifying the consequences of leaving them unattended, why would you not want to identify them? So I want you to identify your top 3 weaknesses, okay? And once you know your top 3 weaknesses, let me tell you how they can help you. I want you to start to learn, once you know what they are, you can start to use them to your advantage, okay? You can start to use your 3 weaknesses to your advantage. What do I mean by that? When you identify them and you put yourself in the room around people who mastered your weaknesses or have a clear understanding of how to use the weaknesses. Now, while you're in high school, I promise you this is the best place to utilize this. Your parents don't got this yet. Your parents are still hiding their weaknesses, still camouflaging their weaknesses so nobody knows they exist. But for you, you're in a place, you're in the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, 12th, whatever one it is, right? You're in one of them grades and you're hiding your weaknesses because you don't want to be embarrassed amongst your peers. But do you understand the pride of people? When you show a weakness, you will have people say, how do you not understand that? All you got to do is this, and that. You know what's ill? You didn't know that all you had to do was this, and that. So you didn't know what to study. But because they said, oh, you're so stupid, all you got to do is da. They didn't explain everything to you, but what they don't know is your ability to go out and find that thing, that this, and that you knew nothing about. Now you have something to study, which allows you to get better. So even people's criticisms of your weaknesses will leave clues for you to become better, right? But as you get older and you become an adult, what happens is, and this happens to your parents all the time, they're at work and they hear that, oh, they don't even know how to do this or do that or do this and do that. It's so simple. All you have to do is boom, boom. Do you understand the reason why things are so simple to people is because they've been doing it for a long time? And because they've been doing something for a long time, they learned it over time. But when they first got started, they was just like the person they're talking about. But they're so excited that they learned something. Most of them forgot to grow. They forgot to go learn more, so they're stuck in this same spot over and over and over again. This is why I want you to use high school as your ability, as your time to focus on, my life after high school. So everything that I'm going through in high school, I'm going to go through the same thing as an adult. But as you become an adult, you become more fearful. You start asking less questions. You don't hear adults running around asking questions all the time, right? But if you got a little brother, a little sister, a little cousin, or you're around little kids, you notice they're always asking questions. And you hear people say, oh my God, they ask so many questions. Like, just give me a minute, be quiet. They're a sponge. And if you notice, you used to ask questions a lot too. But the older you become, the less questions you ask because your humility, your fear of your weaknesses overshining, right? Anything else, you just you hide the weakness. You don't want nobody to see it. I want everybody to see my weakness. I want everybody to see my flaw. Because there's going to be a group of people that talk about it in a negative way, but they're giving me clues. So while they're talking about it and criticizing it, I'm only weak because I don't even know what to study. But by you telling me how easy it is and what I need to study, now I can get to work. And then there's going to be some people who are like, oh my God, you know what? I remember when I was going through that. Man, you really brought me back. Like, that was a time. This is when you run into people who enjoy the journey. This is when you run into people who embrace the journey. And they're going to start to give it to you like, hey, all you got to do is this, and that. I wish somebody told this to me back then. I'm so happy to be able to share it with somebody because you're bringing me to a place that I really enjoyed the journey of. You see what I mean? So it becomes a strength. The weakness now becomes a strength, right? So, right, the question was, what are my top 3 weaknesses? And then how can I use them to my advantage? I just shared that with you. The next thing I want you to know is, how can I improve them? When you identify the weaknesses, how can you improve them? You put yourself in front of people and you expose your weakness. Not saying, hey, I'm weak over here. I really don't know how to do this. No. You put yourself in a room of people that are having conversations about your weaknesses. Not directly to you, in general, right? And when they're talking about the weakness, you're going to hear clues on what you need to do next. You put yourself in front of people that might criticize the weakness. They're going to have clues for you too. Okay? So I want you to figure out, how can you improve them? You improve them by exposing them. If no one knows about them and you're just hiding them, you can't get the help you need. All right? So I need you to expose the weakness. The second thing is, what are they costing you daily? Day to day. Every time you have these weaknesses and you decide you want to hide them because you don't want to be humiliated, you don't want to feel terrible about it, right? You don't want to, that they're stressing you out. You'd rather nobody know for the embarrassment. What is that costing you? Do you understand that me using humor to keep my weaknesses in the shadows made it difficult for me as an adult to move my life forward? Because I became used to keeping my weaknesses in the shadows. So instead of me putting them out, I kept them in the shadows. It cost me relationships, right? Relationships with people that would have really benefited me. And I would have been able to benefit them. I'm not just trying to take, I would have been able to give. But because all I did was hide the weaknesses, it got me out of some groups that I should have been in. I removed myself from the groups because I was keeping my weaknesses in the shadows. So it cost me the relationships. The relationships would have led to better opportunities. So it cost me opportunities. The opportunities would have led me to bigger income. So it cost me income. When you start to figure out what you hiding your weaknesses are costing you, you will start to look at all of them differently, okay? So let's back up real quick, right? How can you use them to your advantage? I need you to know them. When you know them, you can use them to your advantage, okay? How can you improve them? You share them. You share them with everybody that you can. Now, don't just walk up to them and say it, but in conversation, you're talking, they're telling you about what they do. You're telling them about what you do, and then you're giving them the pain points. Like, listen, man, I go around the country. I speak to different schools. I talk to students across the country. But when it's time to work with the teachers, when it's time to work with the staff, I get a little intimidated because I only got a GED. And when I started to say that to certain individuals, right, years ago, you know what they said to me? They said, yo, the stuff you've been through, they haven't been through. Or the stuff that you're hiding, they're hiding too. You just got to be willing to expose yourself for your weaknesses. And then how you turned it into the solution because you overcame them. So now when I go into a school and I'm talking to students, I'm also talking to staff. And the staff are hearing it and they're like, oh my God, I was there. I know what you mean. Thank you so much for sharing it. I never thought about it that way. See, they thought about the stuff, but not in the way that I shared it. My perspective was different. But I was too afraid because I'm like, yo, they went to college and they did this. Like, I can't talk to them. No, like, yo, are you out your mind? So I need you to understand that you need to share them, okay? And then when you figure out how they're costing you daily, that's when you start to understand them, okay? That's when you start to understand them. Like, yo, this is what it's costing me every day. Now you understand the pain inside of the weakness, and then you're like, oh, I understand what it's costing. Let me figure out how I can stop that. And now you start to move forward, all right? The last thing is when you share them, you understand them, you embrace them, and you make them part of your life, part of your story, part of your journey. These are the things you had to overcome. And you know what I find to be crazy? You hide things that you overcame and you have embarrassment for, right? Not realizing that you done overcame stuff bigger than what you're hiding. So if you overcame things that are bigger than what you're hiding, why are you hiding this? Because you haven't overcame it yet. But the minute you get that win, you won't hide it anymore. So I look at it and I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, listen, If I never done it before, I never heard about it before, I never studied it before, I am not supposed to know it. I'm not supposed to. But that doesn't stop me from moving forward and learning it, okay? Listen to me, I promise you, if you embrace these things, if you go through the questions and you really ask and you really answer, everything in your life will change, all right? I hope that helped.